Lovey, will you let the girls know that if he did not poop, to just let him hang out on the back deck? Because I know they won't watch him and he'll poop in the house. Good morning. I'm so tired. I know I say that every day, but I am so tired. Good morning. He might have just while he was out there with them, but I know he'll have to. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, so good morning and welcome to Coffee Talk. It is Wednesday, September 11th, and I am exhausted. This puppy thing is for the birds. I don't care what anybody says. You can love them, they're cute, blah, blah, blah. It is taking them out every 15 minutes while you're awake and waking up every 3 hours while you're asleep. It's worse than having a newborn because a newborn has a diaper. So if it pees, you change the diaper. If the puppy pees, you step in it. Anyway. So today is the anniversary of September 11th, and I do not tolerate any videos on my timeline anywhere of the planes hitting the Twin Towers, people falling out of buildings, running, crying, dying. I don't want to see any of that anymore. And people go, but we have to remember. I don't need to see pictures of my father's dead body to remember he died. I don't need to see pictures of my father's dead body to remember that cancer is real. I remember. I was there. I know. I don't need to see pictures of the planes hitting the Twin Towers. It is so triggering for me and upsetting. I don't like it. It makes me sad. I don't need to see people falling out of the buildings or running through the streets covered in ashes to remember what we went through. I was there. So I tell everybody every year, if you're going to post that shit, unfollow me on everything. Don't be my friend anywhere because I'm not interested. So anyway, all I like to do is talk about, I like to remember people that we lost, whatever, and not look at the stuff. So as many of you know, hola Judy Torres. Many of you know, I can't speak. I was teaching high school in Jersey City at Dickinson High School when the planes hit the Twin Towers. And one of my students came into the room. He was late for class. He was smoking out in the parking lot. And he told me that a plane hit the first Twin Tower. And I thought, what kind of pilot didn't see the tower? Like, how does that even happen? Well, first of all, why was he flying so low? And how did he hit the building? Like, how do you not see the building? And then I heard a bunch of teachers in the hallway, a bunch of chaos. So I stepped outside into the hallway. And most of our children, we had 3,300 students. Most were from Hispanic countries, and a lot of their parents worked in the city, so there was a lot of conversation, chatter in the hallway. Jersey City, for those of you who don't know, is literally right across the Hudson River from New York. Like, if you're standing at the Hudson River in Jersey City, you're looking at lower downtown, like the financial district in Manhattan. So we couldn't not see it. We could see smoke coming out, like out our classroom window. You just saw smoke. And so I thought, how are the firemen going to get all the way up there? that is going to be hard. I mean, before 9/11, our brains were not trained to think about terrorist attacks or things like that. You think tragedy, and you think firemen, and you think, I don't know, safety. I don't know what we thought before then. And while we were in the hallway talking, one of the teachers came down the steps, and she said, a second plane just hit the other Twin Tower. And I still said, how does a pilot not see the tower? What is happening to these pilots? Because in my mind, I never could imagine that planes could be hijacked and used as weapons. Like my brain didn't even concoct that. And that's when someone said they think it's terrorism. And I thought, terrorism? Surely not. Like, what? On American soil with our planes? Like, no way. Like, it just cannot. So the kids at this point were all devastated because they had family that all their relatives were working in the city. So we couldn't really control them anymore. So we had 3,300 kids spill out into the parking lot of Dickinson High School, and the teachers and the administration just followed, and we all stood there watching the buildings burning. And then I remembered that both of my roommates worked in the Twin Towers, in the financial district. And I thought, wait a minute. This is how foreign of an idea, of a concept this was. I literally said to my teacher's aide, are people going to die? Like, can people die? Are people going to die? Are people dying? Because you don't, like, I couldn't, I had no idea what was going on the ground there. Does that make sense? I didn't realize there were people in the planes. I thought they were empty planes. Like, your mind doesn't, and my teacher's aide was like, I don't know. What about the people in the building where the plane hit? And I was like, holy shit. People are going to die. Like, it didn't hit me until I was outside staring at it and was like, oh my God. People are going to die today. People are dying. People have died. It was just the most absurd. And then I didn't know where my roommates were. And I had no idea if they were dead or alive and what I would tell their family. And I would have to go home to my apartment with two people who were, it was so bizarre to me. It was like a movie that I couldn't get out of. So parents came and got the kids from the school, and kids were already, the phones were all jammed, as anybody who lived in the tri-state area knew. We couldn't use our cell phones. They were all jammed. And we didn't know. And I went home to my apartment, and it was like a horror movie. We just watched on the TVs. We just watched. I just sat there in my apartment with my other roommate who taught with me at Dickinson, Lara, who's probably watching right now. And we waited for our other roommates to call, to come home, to not come home. Like, we had no idea. So we just sat and watched the TV. Like, this can't be happening. This can't be real. This cannot be real. When the towers came down, all the abandoned cars at the PATH station, at the bus stations, at the train stations, cars from people who would never come home, cars from people who were walking miles. It was like an apocalypse. I swear to you, it was like an apocalypse. And the dust and the debris went on and on and on and on for months. I felt like months. My grandmother was in the city. She was in Manhattan on 3rd Street, and she never saw her city. You know, she never saw her city cry. You know, New York for her was like a person. And she loved New York more than she loved, I think, any person. And she never saw her city cry. And I remember her saying to me, Jamila, my city is crying. My whole city is crying, Jamila. And I said, I know, Grandma. The whole country is crying. The world is crying. It was so sad. It was so bizarre. It did. It felt like the end of the world. It felt like the apocalypse, honestly. I was waiting for the trumpets. I said, okay, this must be what Jesus, when he comes back. Is this it? And you know, for as crazy a time as we are in right now, politically, I will tell you that politicians came near and far to New York to help. They walked arm in arm, hand in hand. They stood with firefighters and first responders and police officers, and we felt safe. It was a time that we felt really safe. My roommate eventually got home at like 10:30 at night, covered in soot, and one roommate, she walked from Manhattan to Brooklyn, across the Brooklyn Bridge. From Brooklyn, got a ferry from Brooklyn to Jersey, then walked from the ferry station in Jersey to our apartment. I don't know how she did it. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. No shoes, ripped stockings, covered in soot. It was terrible. My other roommate had a fight with her boyfriend in the train station underneath the Twin Tower. So they were fighting. And they came up into the building, the second Twin Tower, and there was a coffee shop in the building, and they went in there and they were arguing, and she would have been up in her building, but they were fighting in the lobby. And when the plane hit the second tower, it rocked the whole building, and they thought it was an earthquake. That's what she said. She said, Jamie, I thought it was an earthquake. And he grabbed her, and they ran. And he saw the building, all the flames, things were falling, and they ran. He ran with her, and they just ran before the buildings fell. But it took them hours to get out of New York. You know what's amazing to me? What's more interesting to me is people who didn't live in the tri-state area. I only know, the only experiences I know are of people who lived in Jersey and New York and things like that. When I read people who lived in like California or Washington, you know, it's so weird to me, like, to hear people's stories who lived far away, you know, because we were so close. And my house was in Jersey City, and so it overlooked the Twin Towers across the water. Our view was changed forever, and all we saw for days was smoke and smoke and smoke, and then no smoke. And I remember the night that the lights went up. Remember when they put the lights up as a like a memorial or something? I remember when the lights went up and we sat out on our porch and watched the lights and thought, holy shit, this is crazy. So many people, watched around the world. It was so, I think the media is good in a lot of ways, the news and stuff, but it made me sick to my stomach that the people who were responsible for that were able to turn on the TV and watch how America wept. Watched the images of terror and people running covered in soot and bodies falling out of buildings. I wish we had like jammers on the satellite so that people outside this country couldn't see because while it was good too, like great countries like England and Canada and, all the great countries were watching and weeping with us, the fact that the people who caused it could watch. And my friend was working at the Pentagon at the time and was there when they were hit. And it just felt like the hits just kept coming. It just felt like every time we turned around, we felt like, and then I don't know if you remember, but a couple of days later, a plane going to the Dominican Republic crashed. And the fear that it was happening again was paralyzing. And so many of my students had family on that plane because so many of my students were from the Dominican Republic. Dominicana de pura cepa. It was crazy. And the jets flying over and Freehold, we lost one of our classmates, Michelle Hoffman, was in the Twin Tower with her father, and they both died. And that was devastating for Freehold because Michelle was somebody that we all grew up with. We all knew Michelle forever. So, it is... Stacey, I think every American and every administration anywhere that has ever been in this country would like to prevent that from ever happening again. I think anybody like with a heart or a loved one wants to prevent that from happening again. My husband comes from one of the largest naval families in this country. We currently have 27 family members on active duty. My husband was a Marine. My father was in the Army. My brother was in the Navy. Both grandfathers were in the Navy. My father-in-law was in the Air Force. Father Bob was in the Navy. None of us want it to happen again. Ay, ay, ay. I hate the agenda, folks. I'm not good with the agenda. It freaks me out. Anyway, we lost the whole country suffered. The whole country suffered. It was... it was humbling because America is the most powerful country in the world, and we never thought that it could happen here. And when it did, we realized that we were vulnerable. Scary feeling if these people don't stop calling me in the middle of coffee talk. Nobody cares. My family, my friends, they don't care. Anyway, so many of you had babies on 9/11. I love that. Happy birthday to everybody whose birthday is on 9/11. Happy birthday to all of your babies. I love it. It is a great day for everybody born today. And I am sorry that this event that happened overshadows your birthday, because everybody deserves a beautiful birthday. I love you guys so much. I am Michelle, her birthday is not tarnished. We need to make it a great birthday for her. I love you guys so much. More than anything today, let's be kind to one another. Let's love one another. Let's spread love. Let's just right now, just type, I love you today. Just type, I love you today. I love you so much. Have a great, great day.